Hey, welcome back to Spellbound. I'm BJ the Book Witch, and this is my May TBR. Okay, so first things first, it finally happened. I hit my first reading slump of 2021, and it was a doozy. I hit like 58 books for the year and then crashed hard. And I haven't touched almost a single book in like 3 weeks. But it has been for good and happy and busy reasons. So this is something you wouldn't know, but I started this YouTube channel as a creative outlet and a way to challenge myself. So I do have a degree in film production, but I haven't been behind a camera since I graduated. Until the pandemic, when I was helping my brother, who's a college professor, film a lot of new video lectures for his courses, which had suddenly become online. So when that happened, I realized that I was pretty rusty and I wanted to stay on the top of my game with a lot of skills, like video production and editing and public speaking and just being generally performative and hilarious and all around entertaining, like I am now. So that's why I made this YouTube channel. I'm already a lover of books and literature and reading, so this just gives me a space to talk about my love of books while keeping my skills sharp. And each week, behind the scenes, I actually do something a little bit differently each time. Whether that's trying a new way of scripting, changing my process, trying to film in different locations, whatever it is, I try to learn something new each week. And I've officially outgrown the editing software that I've been using. So in my transition to a more sophisticated editing software program, I decided to give myself a week's buffer to really learn the ins and outs. So here we are, a week later, having read nothing in the meantime. But you know how it is, right? You want to read, you have a stack of incredible books just waiting to be picked up, but no amount of willpower can make you turn the page. Right? Somehow I managed to complete 3 1,000-piece puzzles, completely redo like half of my island in Animal Crossing, and bid a solemn farewell to Walter, whom I loved, and also retill the soil in the entire blackberry bed in the garden. But reading, couldn't commit. And what brought me out of my 3-week reading slump was my tried and true method of reorganizing my bookshelves at 2 a.m. while my husband was trying to sleep. So my point is, I've got a lot of catching up to do from my April TBR. So I am taking it slow when it comes to my TBRs for May, and I'm only selecting 5 books and 1 series, so that way I can catch up from my April books, because I absolutely do plan on reading them, and I'll link that list right up here. And Goodreads says I'm 7 books behind, so chop chop. So here we go, May TBRs. In fiction, I'm reading The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. This book has been recommended to me numerous times, and May sounds like the perfect time to pick it up. This book doesn't say. This book is about a woman who runs a bookshop, or a literary apothecary, and she is able to select the perfect books for her customers to soothe their troubled souls. So it sounds perfectly charming. In literary fiction, I'm reading Ella Minnow P by Mark Dunn. This is a really interesting story in which a town has this sign hanging in their downtown square. And it's that sentence that you learn in typing, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So that has all the letters of the alphabet in it. And then one day a storm knocks down one of the letters, and the town takes that as a sign that they shouldn't be using that letter anymore, and it becomes banned. So that letter is no longer present in the rest of the book. And then one by one, the other letters start falling off and they become banned too, and the book continues on without the use of those letters. So it sounds like a very intriguing story about censorship. Why a series? Okay, so I have pretty bad luck when it comes to reading vlogs. I've started 3 or 4. And the most recent one was a Shadow and Bone reading vlog that I was going to read all the books in the series in anticipation and leading up to the premiere of the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix. But I severely underestimated the shock to the system that returning to a full-time working schedule was going to have on me, so that obviously did not work out. So I'm scrapping the reading vlog idea, and I'm just going to read the series, and then when I inevitably binge the show, I'll just include all of my thoughts and feelings probably in the end of the month wrap-up, which seems like the most logical place to put them, and that's why my wrap-ups are 45 minutes now. Do you hear that? That is the rain. So, Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This series includes Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. And this series is the main series, and it's also called the Grisha Trilogy, and all of her other duologies are spin-offs of this book, and they take place in the Grisha verse. So I'm about 80 pages into this one, and the gist of it is that it takes place in a fantastical world that borrows a lot of elements from Russia or other Slavic countries. And some people have special powers called Grisha, and this follows Alina, and she is a Grisha. She's actually a sun summoner, which means she can conjure or summon light. And this is groundbreaking and can potentially drive out the Fold, which is this giant, shadowy, dark place between territories. So I'm only about 80 or so pages in, and I am interested, but we're coming on the end of like the training montage, so we'll see how it goes once, the main events of the story really kick into gear and I continue on. So I'll keep you updated. And in fantasy, I'm reading Piranesi by Susanna Clark. So my mom gave me this one for Christmas, and I'm really excited to get into it. This is a dreamlike fantasy that follows Piranesi in his house, which is an infinite labyrinth. There is only one other person in the house called the Other, and he helps Piranesi research a great and secret knowledge. But as he explores, he starts to think that maybe there is somebody else in the house, and as he does, he stumbles into a secret and terrible truth. That is all that the synopses will say on this book, and from that, I really am intrigued. I know that it received kind of mixed reviews on BookTube, but I know that a lot of the negative reviews came from booktubers who really don't like more literary fiction. They don't really like dreamlike or surreal fiction or fantasy, and I do. So I'm really excited to dive into this one and read it. So I'm pumped. My classic for this month is The Magic Toy Shop by Angela Carter. This 1967 story follows Melanie as she becomes aware of herself, her environment, and her sexuality. So this is a collection of stories. It is The Magic Toy Shop, The Infernal Desire Machines of Dr. Hoffman, and Wise Children. I also have Heroes and Villains, and she has a really famous collection of retold fairy tales. So in the 60s, she did help usher in a lot of that popularity around retold fairy tales and fairy tale reimaginings. So if that's a vibe that you're into, you should definitely thank Angela Carter for that. A couple of semesters ago in grad school, I read The Infernal Desire Machines of Dr. Hoffman, and I hated it. But I think that has more to do with the fact that it was science fiction than her writing in particular, because I really don't care for sci-fi. But I did appreciate her writing style, but I will be honest that I was completely distracted by the subject matter and the genre that it was in, that I did not fully appreciate it. Angela Carter has been linked to Shirley Jackson a lot of times by professional writers and reading critics. They say that she's similar. But I think that the big difference is that Shirley Jackson, while she writes with a sort of a suburban, creepy, and gothic vibe, I think that Angela Carter really weaves in a lot of fairy tale elements, a lot of archetypes, and a lot more of an ethereal vibe to it. And I'm into it. So I'm going to give Angela Carter a second try and check out The Magic Toy Shop. So we'll see. My nonfiction book for this month is a collection of short essays by Neil Gaiman called The View from the Cheap Seats. So it's no secret that I love Neil Gaiman, and I've read a couple of selections from this one, but I haven't read the full collection. Most of the essays are on books and literature and libraries and literacy, and they are pulled from public speaking events that Gaiman has attended during his career. So there we go. That's my extremely brief May TBR list, but my April books still apply. So my end of the month wrap up will include not only these books, but a bunch from April too. Okay, your turn. What are you reading this month? Have you read any of the books that I shared? And if so, did you love them? Did you hate them? Or somewhere in between? Let me know in the comments. Not only do I love to hear from you, but I also love getting book recommendations and suggestions from you guys. And then tell me how you feel. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you loved it, hit subscribe. And don't forget to ring the bell, because I'll be bringing you bookish and witchy content every week. And as always, happy reading.